Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Ronco Johnson, your lifestyle focused wealth advisor. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you? I want to give you time to get in the room. This is Lifestyle Focused Wealth, and I'm Ronco Johnson, your lifestyle focused wealth advisor or coach today. And I just want to say hello, and get everybody in the room. How are you doing this Friday? That's right. It's Lifestyle Focus Friday. So we know what that means, right, everybody? We know what that means. Welcome. It's Lifestyle Focus Friday. I'm Ronco Johnson once again. You know, I get really happy on Fridays because I get an opportunity to sit back and think about what's happened this past week. And I've gotten a chance to talk to some of you. We get excited about certain things that are happening in the atmosphere, and getting to hear your stories, getting to hear what makes you happy. I know some of you have been looking at our sites and that are in our back office in our group, and talking about all the upgrades and all the things that are happening. And I just want to thank you for hanging in there, coming out to say hello to us, and making us feel at home. So thank you for that. But some house cleaning before we get started. We're giving everybody an opportunity to get here. Do me a favor. Down below, take a moment. It doesn't cost you anything. Take a moment to like us, share us, and don't forget to tell someone. You don't want to keep all these nuggets to yourself. You don't want to keep them all to yourself. It's not possible, because today we're going to be talking about economic impact. Today we're going to be talking about how life insurance can be used to create economic impact in your community. This is a topic that I'm really excited to get to. Been waiting on it for a while. And some people's like, what does life insurance got to do with economic impact? Well, in just a moment, we're going to talk about how that can happen, and some things to consider that maybe you just haven't thought about, and what part you play in this opportunity. It is a huge opportunity. So we want to give you some ideas to make you think a little broader about how we use these tools. These tools, what millionaires and billionaires do. This is one of the tools that we use to get to where we want to go. The second topic of the day, we're going to talk about how you can purchase adequate life insurance and why purchasing this life insurance is so important. A topic that is important to me is when we're talking about shortening the wealth gap in minority populations across America. A lot of people are looking for solutions, but no one wants to talk about the solution that doesn't benefit governments at scale. It just doesn't. They're not making money from it. But we're going to talk about how life insurance and your personal responsibility can play a part in how we look at our community and our wealth and our generational wealth and the part we play in it, and how we can absolutely be a solution to that issue as well. Might not be able to solve all the problems, but we can start one little nugget at a time. And that begins to take people seriously. They start to take us a little bit more seriously, So that's our goal. That's our focus. Hey, we got a great program today, and I want you guys to take a moment and go to our Lifestyle Focus Wealth online and see what's going on. I really think that you will benefit from it. I really do. I mean, our members are solid. People are doing great things. It is just $16 a month, lifestylefocuswealth.com. Go there, become a member. There are perks. There are opportunities. Get our newsletter, get our magazine, get our online magazine, get to do our trips and retreats with me and other people you can collaborate with. I'm telling you, everything we need is in the room. I'm going to say it again. Everything we need is in the room. So thank you guys very much out there. If you're taking a moment to join our program, we want to make sure we get all this stuff out of the way because we got great topics today, and we want you to be a part of it. So if you're interested in doing some one-on-one coaching, you can definitely catch us at the end, and I'll be sure to leave some information about that down in the comments. And you can also go to lifestylefocuswealth.com and click on a session. So if this information or the content is something that touches your heart or drives you or motivates you to do more, we want to hear about it. So don't forget to leave us something in the comments. And if you do, go in the comments and leave us today's words in the comments. I want you to start with takeaways. The word takeaways, 2 words, takeaways, and then put your comments. We want to know, what are you taking away from this information, and how we can do better and what we can do better, and or what needs to be further explained. I hope that we can get an opportunity to talk to you. So with that being said, we are off for today. So, I get a lot of opportunities to travel. And in my travels, I'm beginning to get stopped more and more. And many of you have these questions, and when you're sitting down with political officials and things like that, one of the biggest topics is economic impact. So when we get to these topics, we want to know, what are the secret wealth tools, or what are the secret tools that the wealthy use? Well, there's so many advantages to the secret wealth tool that we talk about here. Primarily, we talk about how to use and where life insurance is used many different ways, from small mom and pop to large corporations and to the political climate. So we want to be able to talk about where it goes, right? So, when we're talking about the economic impact, we're talking about how it impacts you, the community that you live in, and so forth, right? So if we know that we can do that, it makes sense to why life insurance could be important. Well, let's just talk about some of the guidelines about the life insurance piece, right? Some of the guidelines that we've already talked about is the fact that, number one, life insurance receives some tax advantages that no other tool has. It allows us to compound interest without being taxed. It allows us to leverage loans against the insurance company's reserves while we're still earning interest, right? That's one great tool. One of the other added benefits at the end of our story, when the lights go out, we're able to provide our heirs with tax-free death benefits. Generally, the death benefits of life insurance are tax-free, right? So keep those 2 things in mind, the living benefit and the death benefit. Both of them have tax advantages that you can use, that your that you can use and that your heirs can use, right? Make sense? If that makes sense to you, everything else will fall in the middle. And that's where we're going today. So, a lot of times we see that we see the wealthy use life insurance as a way to reduce their debt. And we've talked about that. We've talked about learning how to use these qualified or these properly designed policies, right? I need to make sure I say this before we get into it. Every policy is not the same. Every policy is not the same. So if you're checking in right now, first of all, if you're checking in, you can catch us on YouTube. You can check us in on TikTok. You can check us out on all the social media platforms. So I got you all squared away at the same time: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, we're all here. So you're all kind of seeing things a little bit differently as we're waiting on folks to get into the room. So let's talk about it. How that insurance is got those types of advantages. And we've talked about financing everything you purchase. In the infinite banking conversation, we've talked about that. If I can use cash values to make purchases while still earning dividends on the money that I would have spent otherwise, then that starts to make a little bit more sense. To some of you, it may be a little confusing, but really and truly, it's not that difficult to understand. Imagine being able to use $100. Normally, when we use $100, we know that once we spend that $100, it's gone. We're not going to see anything from it. It's gone. Right? Imagine taking that same $100, spending it in the exact same way you intended it, and a year later, getting a small check for it, a small dividend check for it. Well, even if it was $5, I'll be grateful. That's more than zero. So we got to stop minimizing how small our gifts are, because those gifts start to add up. Suppose I were to tell you that that dividend starts paying you every year for the rest of your life. See, these are some of the little details that they're not telling you, and understanding the literacy behind how these dividends work. In future shows, I'm looking forward to having some of our other experts come in and we can talk about all the intricacies of how that thing works. And it gets to be really exciting when you have someone explain to you in detail what is happening, right? We want to make sure that y'all have the information right, because there's a lot of information out here where they're not telling you the absolute truth, right? So as we're waiting on everybody to come on in, hello, everybody. I see you. I see you coming into the rooms. When you come in, please make a comment. Tell me something. Tell me hello. Tell me that you're here. Tell me where you're from. If you're joining us live on YouTube, your screen is going to look a little different. You're going to see all the bells and whistles. If you're on Facebook, you might not see it as well. But if you're on YouTube, you can check us out at Ronco Johnson, or you can put in lifestylefocuswealth.com and see if that pops up, and you should see us there, right there. So we're talking about what the wealthy do with money. And we're talking about today, what do the wealthy know and how we can use it, these products, how can we use these things to create an economic impact within the community? Well, first, let's start here. Insurance needs to be purchased in the proper way. In the proper way. We're able to leave our heirs money, and I know that's really what we talk about. But I need to talk to you about the differences in certain communities. When I leave, let's say I passed away and I left you $10,000. You would be grateful for a moment. But $10,000 probably is not going to impact your world in a way that you want it to, right? And that's what we see often as agents, advisors, and I see it all the time where individuals have been left money from maybe a grandparent, maybe they had some different policies, the baby policies, or just leaving just enough to bury them with a couple of $1,000s left. Well, typically, when that happens, your view of insurance changes, right? Hi, Tawana, I see you way up there in New York. What's happening, Sam? I see you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. So here's what I am saying. When your perspective comes from a very small perspective, the respect for this product might not be there. So I have to break this down into certain communities because minority communities have a lower share of life insurance typically, and I mean adequately uh, designed life insurance. I'm not talking about insurance that's just leaving you $5,000. Can you imagine if you received a check for $1 million? What would that change? How would your views change if you left your daughter $1 million versus $10,000? There's a huge difference. So don't forget, leave me a comment down below. And as you make a comment. And we got 2 words that I want you to say today: takeaways. And then put your comment in. So if I say something as we're talking, takeaways, and then put your comment. Here's why. I want to know what you're thinking as I'm speaking. We want to be able to develop a program where you can feel free to ask questions and learn more in depth of how to use these secret financial tools in such a way that can help you, your family, and the community that you live in. So we're still talking about how to use these products, services, and how we create economic impact. Well, I can tell you the difference between receiving $1,000 or $10,000 and $1 million, or maybe $4 or $5 million, but is a lot. Is a lot. Well, let's push it just a little further. If it's properly designed and your cash is properly designed and you're putting these dollars away in the infinite banking concept that we've talked about, well, guess what? It might start out at $1 million and end up at $5 million just because you've been overfunding it over your lifespan. Where I talked about earlier, where the dividend, while you're living, this is while you're living, that dividend that pays out all the time, depending on what carriers you're with, it's no longer $5. It's $100,000. It's $100,000 a year for the rest of your life. And this is passive income that you don't have to pay any taxes on because it's reinvested into the policy. No, it's true. All you had to do was have an insurance policy. So how does that affect the economies of scale? Let me explain. If I properly design my plans and I can leave more money to my family, the potential for my family to buy more real estate, buy more businesses, have better financial advisors becomes high. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? It becomes a situation where now we have to have the conversation. We have to have the conversation. Why? Because now we got too much money. Now we have too much money. When we have too much money, when I leave a person so much money that they've never had to deal with it before, it forces the conversation for financial education. Larger amounts of money properly left to their heirs, it forces a deeper conversation about your money. It just does. And when you have that deeper conversation, now we're talking estate planning. Now we're talking wills and trust. Now we're talking how to maneuver things around in such a sophisticated way. I know you've seen some of these programs on TikTok and on some of these little small 15-second drops, but it's much more complicated. It's much more complicated than that, but it is one of those things that is a relieving situation. It is a relieving situation when it's done properly, right? When it's done properly. If I'm making sense to you, do not think about leaving the minimum. We want to blow it out. We want to blow it out. Why? Because we can have more businesses that we own. Like a bank, you have the ability to loan money to the communities that you care about in exchange for interest. You're making a little bit. They're making a little bit. What's wrong with that? Maybe there's a small business that you want to support. Maybe there is a nonprofit organization that you want to support, or a university that you want to support, or a church that you want to support. These things need to be here. We depend on those things, right? So when you sit down and you start to talk about, hey, what is my purpose? My purpose on this planet is what? I want to provide some type of impact, not only that my kids feel, but that the economy feels, that the economics in my community feels. Am I making sense? So, why stop and thinking small? We want to think bigger. Start thinking bigger, and we start getting bigger results, right? Right? Exactly. Exactly. So, hey, greetings. P.S. I can't see the name. I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses in front of me. But thank you for coming in and joining us from Pakistan. I can see that. So thank you for joining us today. And today we're talking about the economic impact and what do wealthy people do, and how you can tap into your inner wealth, right? That's what we're talking about. Today's second topic is, how can the purchase of your insurance shorten the wealth gap in minority communities in America? Yes, I'm getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper on you guys, and I understand it. How can your purchase of adequate life insurance shorten the wealth gap in minority communities in America? Well, I can tell you, for a long period of time, minority Americans were not being offered adequate life insurance. That's the truth. You might remember, depending on who you are, we talk about the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers' estate plan is different than, say, my grandmother's plan. The type of advisor that they came into contact with is different. So when we talk about wealth gaps, we really need to think about exactly what are we talking about and what the role that life insurance has played into that. Because when members of our family continue to pass, that one of the beautiful things about this life insurance product is that it leaves money behind tax-free. Death benefits are generally income tax-free, which means that, hey, listen, if I leave $10 million, there's no taxes on that money. If you were to make $10 million, guess what happens? If you were to make $10 million, you would have to pay the taxes on it. So let's talk about this for a second. If one family's got $5 million properly designed, that's grown into $10, $15 million for their heirs to inherit, for businesses to be built, versus another community that's getting pennies, there's the creation of your wealth gap. Is it because someone's smarter? Is it because they worked harder? Or is it because they had more information and had more resources? Today, we have the resources. And we have resources, but we may have to start taking some of the responsibility on for ourselves. Hi, Donna. Hey, how are you? If you guys are looking in, thank you for joining us. If you're on YouTube, take a look at us on YouTube. We're going to start to transfer a lot of our information there. If you're on there for Facebook, hey, thank you for being here. And I know that's where you've been with our groups and what have you. But when you get a chance, pop on over to YouTube, and don't forget to hit our subscribe button. Don't forget to say thank you and all the good stuff down low. But we're talking about right now what the secrets are, what the secret tools that wealthy people do. We're talking about that right now. We're talking about that right now because it's important to understand. When I go to using the bank, right? Again, here's a piece of economic impact, but it is also shortening the wealth gap at the same time. You need to remember that the banking institutions see life insurance, cash value life insurance, as a tier one asset by the banks. A tier one asset by the banks, which means it's one of the safest opportunities that the bank will take chances on. Well, what does that mean? Well, if we go back to the original conversation, the very first question today was, how can we create an economic impact? Well, I'm leaving the stroller down at the bottom, and I know that on certain channels you can see it. Well, in order for me to make an economic impact, I'm going to have to go to the bank one day and ask for a loan. Maybe I want to go to the bank and use my income or my inheritance to purchase more land. Let's just say my parents had a properly designed insurance plan, right? And they decided to leave me a couple $1 million, not $10,000, not just over the dirt to be broke, right? But they left me a couple $1 million, $2, $5, $10 million, $30 million. If we start talking like this, is not uncommon. There are different communities that are doing this every single day. Well, what does that do for your family? First of all, it thrusts your family into a different planning atmosphere. It forces the conversation for financial literacy and education. It also gives us an opportunity to have large sums of money that we can go into a bank that sees these proceeds as a tier one asset. That way I can go and do more land development. I can buy more homes. I can have better relationships with my banks, with my financial institutions, because now I'm going to leverage the money that came from life insurance. Am I making sense to you guys? Please, if you're in the comments today, be sure to put the words takeaway. That way I know that you're looking at it. Put the words takeaway. And if you put the words takeaway into the comments, then give your actual comment, the things that you're taking away from what I'm talking about. We're talking about economic impact right now. But at the same time, if you're a minority person that has received this kind of money, let's talk about the wealth gap now, how they're tied together. The wealth gap is tied together because hypothetically, I just received $2 to $5 million. I just went to the bank and got loans to do development projects for over $10 to $50 million that my family or my corporation is now going to own. Guess what? My family is not part of that wealth gap anymore. We're using tax-free death benefits and repositioning it as seed capital in the community. I'm taking policy loans against the policy that I own. I don't have to pay taxes on it. No state, no federal. The insurance companies are not trying to get me to pay that back because I'm pulling cash from my life insurance policies. That was funded by what my parents left me, right? Now we're going to get into business. We're going to incorporate. We're going to buy more property. We're going to have these relationships. Guess what we just done, ladies and gentlemen? For your family alone. Just because somebody in the family had an adequately designed life insurance program, you've just impacted the wealth gap at least for your family and the heirs beneath you. And because you're in building projects, because there's money to loan out community banks and money to loan out different community businesses, you are making an impact individually. And that's what lifestyle focused wealth is all about. If I'm tying this together for you, please leave me a comment. If you like the comments, do me a favor, make a comment, leave it to us in the bottom. in the comments. I'll leave some links for you in the descriptions for today so that you can just be a part of our lifestyle focused wealth community. I want to see you. I want you to join us. Join us live online. And our membership is really, really low. Really low. It's $16 a month. If you pay it annually, $20 a month is not. But you get access to our newsletter, our online magazine, our articles, our destinations when we go out and we do our meet and greets or our retreats. You get to meet some of these other fabulous family members and community members who are already taking advantage of what cash value can do. So you're in a community that really, really is involved. And as things continue to go forward, you're going to hear these things that we're talking about. One, economic impact. How are we going to do that? We're making impact because we have control of our dollars. And when we have control of our dollars, we're able to pool our dollars together. And when you're pooling your money together, things happen much faster. You're not on the outside looking in, and you're not asking for permission. We just have the resources to do it. If I'm making that sense to you, please let me know. Let me know. Put that in your takeaway notes for today. Put that in your takeaway notes today. Thank you. I understand. I got a statement from a person online today, and it says takeaways. Takeaways. I'm currently experiencing an issue where my personal funds are being held at a bank so that I can invest it before allowing me to use my own money in my personal investment. Hey, well, thank you, Donna. I see your note. Yes, this is one of the scenarios that we're talking about. The scenario is when you go to the bank and you need to use money, you got to go to the bank and then you got to ask them for permission to use the money in your account. In most cases, that's not a problem. But when it pops up that you have a situation that you hurry up, you got to get it done at a certain time, it is not as easy to move funds as you would think. It is not as easy to move funds as you would think. And that's the issue. That is an issue. Well, what am I saying to that? I'm saying something very simple. Again, when you have your infinite bank set up, and when you have your bank set up and it's set up properly, guess what happens? You are still able to use your money in the way that you want to, right? If you're able to use your money in the ways that you want to, it can make the situation go by much faster. It makes it go by much faster, right? That's really and truly what we're wanting to do. We're really wanting to be able to make these things happen much quicker, right? That's a big issue because sometimes you could be in the middle of a transaction and that transaction not happen because you were not ready. That's what I would call a lights out moment. Thank you, Donna, for leaving us a takeaway today. That's a big issue. That is a big issue. So we've talked about a lot today. We've talked about how, insurance earns compounded interest without you taking away from your principal. So going back, we talked about how you can put cash values in place, and then you can borrow against the company's reserves to do what you need to do. Well, when we do that, we're able to buy things. We're able to get in position of ownership. That's what it boils down to. We don't want to be, if we're going to be a consumer-driven society, suppose we start thinking about larger products, not the Gucci bags, not the sports cars, We start making economic impact, like buying land, blocks of land that maybe businesses would rent from you for years and years and years. That's making an impact. Trust me. When your walls are full, every nonprofit organization in the world wants to hear what you got to say. Trust me. That's real. That's real. That is so real. That is so real. But, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you have these tools and understand how they work. And, certain things happen. These death benefits, they're typically tax-free. We've talked about you being able to use them. However, if the death benefits are paid in installments now, you don't want to make sure when you're designing it, you may not want to put them in installments depending on who you are and the circumstances. But if it is paid in installments, there is subject to, the money is subject to taxes. So you don't want to create that situation. We want to stay on the tax-free lump sums and then sit down with your advisor, someone who knows what they're doing, someone who has a bigger vision for what's going on in the marketplace for you, your family, and the society that we're building. So, we've had a great conversation today. And I know that I give you a lot to think about. So if you have the opportunity, do me a favor. Check me out at roncojohnson.com if you want to have a one-on-one session. I would love to sit down with you, give us an opportunity to talk to you, your family, hear your situation, and see if we can come up with a solution for you. That's what I do. That's what we do. We want to have that conversation. We want your heirs to have that conversation about being more financially educated, right? And so if you're watching the playback and you're looking at it and you want to make a comment, I will do my best to make to answer your comments. Just be sure to put takeaways in the comments. And don't forget to like us, subscribe to us, and click the notification bell. That is important to our algorithm. And we want to be able to give you more updated content as we move forward. Well, I think we are almost at our time. This is a live today. So if you're live, you got a question, please put it in the comment. If you got questions for me, go ahead and put them in the comments and let us go ahead and answer them for you. Don't forget to put the words takeaways. Put the word takeaways in there so that we know that it's a live comment. Okay? I see it. I'm looking at all these different things here before I let y'all go and let you enjoy your Friday. You know what will be good? I got a challenge for you guys. I want to know what you're doing. Put it in the comments. Put your ways that you thought of that you can make an economic empowerment move. Talk to me about some ways that you would use your resources if you had them or if we were to create them. Why don't you let me know? What would you want to do to create impact? Take some time, go to lifestylefocuswealth.com, schedule a one-on-one with us and talk to us about it. I would like to know that. I think that would be a big situation for you to be able to get that comment. I'm going to open myself up for having those comments with you, someone that knows a little bit about what to do when you get it and help you plan for it as well. Well, look, everybody, that's my time today. That is my time today. I hope I gave you enough content for you to think about in the next coming days, because that's a lot. It's a lot, but that's okay. It's the same thing that wealthy people do, right? It's the same thing that wealthy people do. We never stop thinking. We always got coaching and we're always moving forward. And that's what we do. That way we don't have a lights out moment. right? That's where we don't have a lights out moment. Well, listen, for now, I'm going to bug off and I'm going to let you think about what we've talked about. How can you make an economic impact in your community? And how are you going to be responsible for shortening the wealth gap from your family and then the heirs that you leave behind? So keep that in mind. And I'm Ronco Johnson. This is Lifestyle Focused Wealth. And I look forward to seeing you next time at the top. All right? I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us. And we're out of here. Talk to you later.